The art market reached a frenzied peak in 2006, with big-ticket items often selling out within the opening minutes of an art fair. The scene was repeated again and again, the press of bodies against the gates, followed by the mad rush of collectors to the booths that offered the most coveted treasures in the contemporary art market. The global recession that followed took its toll, depressing prices and fair attendance, and making the chatter as much about the economy as about the art.
There's still a very orderly art market. I know people don't talk about the market much right now, but
well, usually in rather hushed tones.
Well, you know, the point is that in all these fairs, art is being bought, art is being sold. There are people participating in this market. Maybe prices are lower, maybe transactions are less.
Well, that's one thing we've noticed, at least at one of the galleries, they actually even specifically mentioned that they were offering lower prices now than they were 6 months ago, which is an acknowledgement of market forces, but I also thought a rather unfortunate thing for a collector to read who may have bought one of those pieces 6 months ago.
Well, you know, we've been buying for 30 years. We don't really worry about, you know, month-to-month fluctuations, but the big joke in the art world now is 20% off is the new retail. So that's the conversation going on right now.
By summer 2009, things appeared to be looking up. Galleries in Switzerland reported strong sales at Art Basel.
Basel this year has been quite exceptional, in as much that we all expected it to be a little quieter because, you know, obviously there's a bit of a recession going on. It hasn't been like that at all. It's been pretty remarkable.
This year, is really good.
Things are looking much more optimistic. There's definitely a greater sense of freedom right now amongst collectors. We see it at Design Miami, and you could see it through the art fair. It's not the way it was at the height, but people are buying art again, and so it's becoming more normal.
It took 24 minutes for us to have sold enough work to have felt that it was absolutely taken care of.
I think the strongest measure I've heard so far is that people have run out of things to hang because they were, of course, it's a difficult year, they were pessimistic, they were cautious in terms of how much they shipped, and now they've sold what they brought and they can't replace it. But this is a very good problem to have.
You know, one of the fascinating things about the last couple of years, the last 3 to 5, is that we have really been able to get a great snapshot of where wealth has been created demographically and geographically, whether it be from China or India or Russia, but particularly as it has shifted into much younger hands. Traditionally, collectors were 45 to 52 years old, and they were established in their lives. We have collectors now that are in their late 20s, early 30s, and were quite active. This year, they are less active.
There were fewer American collectors and a noticeable gap in the buying public. But many collectors and gallerists point to a silver lining in the slower market.
A lot of people talk about the fact that there's a certain kind of a return to seriousness in the art world, not in the sense of boringness, but a return to ideas, a return to art historical concepts. I think there was a moment when the art world got a little bubbly, got a little too glamorous, there was a little bit too much fashion involved with it, and I think a lot of people feel like this is the real art world again.
It's hard to say it's good what's happening because people get unemployed, and so it's not good. But one thing that really has changed, which I think is good, is that all the speculators, the people who would buy something to put it into an auction in 6 months, they're gone. And that gives more space for, you know, like serious collectors, and all the serious collectors are passionate about collecting art. And if you're passionate about something, you just don't stop.
We also did art for 10 years almost before selling the first piece, so we're not so easily disturbed. It's more a pity for the young artists who came directly from art school and became commercial successes, and suddenly they discover for the first time in their life that there might not be that amount of money for spending art.
One of the really nice things right now about art is there is less urgency. You can be more thoughtful and really decide what's right.
One of the sort of liabilities or flaws of the herd mentality was that you developed a series of social studies collections where everybody needed to acquire the same thing that everybody else acquired. It was only good if somebody else either had it or admired it. As we slow down, you will see other things that were being overlooked. You'll certainly see that little jewel that you did not anticipate seeing, because the previous rush was to run in and get the same thing as everybody else.
There are opportunities out there right now for people to get works that, for those of us that collect consistently, to get works by artists that we missed, artists that we really coveted and weren't able to get to in the primary market, that the secondary market now, the pricing will come down to a level where you can go back and access those artists that you really loved but didn't necessarily get to.
I think that there's a reassessment of what I hate to refer to, but I think we have to acknowledge is the excess of the past 5 or possibly even 7 years. And I think that people are looking much closer at the quality of the work that is being made in the studio.
I think in general, in these kind of times, everybody has to be more creative, including the artists.
I think everybody believes that the best art is made in a recessionary period because the artists are not making another blue picture because the last blue picture sold. They're in their studios, it's quiet, the phone is not ringing, they're at peace with themselves, and they're really thinking about their practice, and that's what artists need to do, and that's what they're doing right now. We see that over and over again.
Do you know that there's like, what is it called, power roll? In America, where you can you don't need to dip it in the paint?
If everything goes wrong, we should start importing those power rolls to Europe. Maybe
I don't know why they're not here. It's such a good invention.
Will galleries also learn to get more creative in this market? Coming up, a sneak peek at 2 galleries prepared to make a big splash at Art Basel Miami Beach.